See, it's not working. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I am your host, Damon Pistolka, and I am excited for our guest today because we have none other than Thomas Ellis with us here today from EWC Consultants, and we're going to be talking about practical small business sales training. Thomas, thanks for being here today.
Damon, it's a pleasure to be back here again. So let's give the people what they're looking for.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Well, Thomas, we always like to start the show off with our guests explaining a bit about themselves and how they got into doing what they're doing today. And man, you've got quite a career. You've been helping people improve their sales for a long time. Let's hear how you got into that.
So it started out, I'm a 35-year veteran in the sales industry, and I've started out as a sales rep like everybody else, and I grew into management and directing sales reps and managers. And along that journey, I had the opportunity to work in a small startup company that became a big company, but I got a chance to learn and do a lot of things. And initially, I was doing all of the training for my new hires. So when I hired them, I also trained them and coached them and went on sales calls and did all those wonderful things. I found that that's something I really enjoy doing. And so when I left corporate America, I started my own business, and I basically work with small business owners and small sales teams that need to understand how simple the sales process can be if they follow some simple rules and processes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing how sales is a process, and many people don't think you can just go out and do it, and it really is. There are fundamental steps to the process.
Absolutely. So, one of the fundamental things that people overlook is, okay, I have this awesome product and service. Who is my ideal client? Who can use this? Who can use this product? Who can benefit from my product or service, right? So many people that I work with, especially small business owners, I have to get them to narrow down their focus, right? Because, I was working with an IT company one time, and the guys, I said, well, who's your ideal client? And he said, anybody that has 3 or more laptops. And I'm saying, wow, that's a lot of different companies. But let's narrow that down to what industries have the most use for your product and services. And so I got them to really focus in on, I like to do things in threes. So we picked out 3 industries, and he became an expert in those industries and how they can utilize his products and services, which helped him tremendously by being focused.
Yes. Yes. Because then you get all your marketing materials, all the conversations that you have about the problems they have get more similar and easier to help. It's easier to help your customers when you just did it with 2 other customers, and your marketing materials can speak to the same kind of challenges.
Absolutely, because it makes it easy for you to just kind of go, oh, okay, so Mr. Jones, I've been working in this industry with a lot of customers. Based on my knowledge, most of the people in the industries have these 5 problems.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Which one of these problems do you have? And let me see how I can help you solve them. So now you become kind of like an expert in that industry for that product, which is
Yeah.
huge because you're not just a person trying to sell a product. You're there to help solve a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can be more helpful with them because you can understand what they're going through better.
And that's the whole key about sales is it's being helpful. Many small business owners I work with have this fear about selling. Oh my God, I got to sell. And they have this negative connotation about selling and sales. And I talk to them, I say, listen, remove the word sales and add the word help. and say, Mr. Customer, I'm here to help you solve the problem. I'm not here to sell you anything. If you have a problem and I can help you solve that problem, then we're going to do business. And it's just that simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it does reduce a lot of the apprehension for the person trying to see if that potential customer needs their help, and the potential customer themselves.
Yeah, because most people in sales go into meetings with this notion that I have to sell this person something. I have to sell them something, and the buyer is on the other end saying, this person is here trying to sell me something. So you're both walking there with this idea that you're going to try to sell me. I'm not buying. But if you walk in there with, hey, Mr. Customer, I want to ask you some questions so I can learn more about what you do and how you do it, and how maybe I have something that could help you do it better. Would you be interested in having dialogue about that? And then at the end of the day, if I don't have anything that can help you, then let's shake hands and move forward. But if I do have something, let's schedule another meeting to take a deeper dive into how I can help.
Yeah, that's a great, just what you said there is so powerful, because you're not trying to, in that, we're walking into the room or setting up that first meeting. We're not hoping to get hey, I want to pitch you my product, or I want to show you a presentation on our products and services. It's really about understanding that, but that customer, that person, more about what they're really going through, to determine if there is even something that you should be talking about.
Absolutely. And when you approach them from that aspect, man, you have great conversations, because
Yes.
now their guard is down. They open up and say, well, maybe let's continue this conversation. And then at the end, you kind of say, you know what, Mr. Jones, do you think I have something that can help you? Would you like to hear more about it? And they'll go, sure, or not. And then you just move the conversation forward. The whole key of the initial meeting is to get enough information to determine if they're a prospect. Because not everybody that you talk to is going to be a prospect. So we have to, what we call, qualify them to see if they have a problem that I can solve. And the other important thing is, do they want to fix the problem?
Yes.
Right? Because so many times we assume, based on other companies, well, I know they have this problem, so I'm going to pitch that. But they may say, you know what, Tom? Yeah, that's a problem, but we've been living with that problem for 5 years, so it's not a big deal. So now you're kind of stuck because you've been thinking about this one problem. So we always have to ask the question, what problems do you have now? What are important, right? What are you trying to fix in the next 6 to 18 months? What must you fix in the next 6 to 18 months? Let's talk about those problems and let's see if we can help you solve them. Let the customer tell you what's important for them to solve today, that they'll pay somebody to fix this today.
Yeah, because if you let them tell you, you're not assuming that they want to solve something that they may not care about, like you said, and you could be wasting both of your time.
So many times I've been on sales calls with sales reps that go in, well, I just sold this contractor, and this contractor, they do the same thing. So I know they have a problem here, and I go in and talk about that problem, and the guy says, no, we really don't have that problem here. And the sales rep is stumped. They don't know where to go next.
Yeah.
And the meeting ends.
Yeah. Yep. And that can stop it, or and you said this, asking the right questions. So when you're coaching and helping people in this, around the initial meeting, do you like to have them work with, say, a handful of the same kinds of questions each time. So this gets real familiar how the flow of this initial meeting goes.
Yes. So what I like doing with my clients is we craft up about 10 questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
10, and they're open-ended questions, I mean questions that are going to get the customer talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them what do we want to get out of this meeting? And so we craft up these 10 questions. And I tell them, I said, now you can't just ask these questions back to back to back to back, because they're going to feel like you're interrogating them. So you have to make it part of the conversation, right? So you write these 10 questions down, and sometimes you don't ask but only 3 of them, because that's pertinent. Sometimes you ask 5, 7, it doesn't matter, but you have a list of questions that you're going to ask them. The most important thing is that I ask them to practice these questions, right? Read them every day so they begin to seep into their brain. So when the customer starts talking about a specific topic, 1 or 2 of those questions just oozes out of them, right? The customer like hits a button and that question pops out of them, and now it's in the gist of the conversation. It's not, well, where'd that question come from? You know, it's part of the conversation. So I try to help them to develop that. That takes time, but the most important thing I tell them in the first meeting is it's a conversation, right? It's back and forth. It's not me firing 20 questions at you. It's us having a conversation like you're having a conversation with a friend.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that idea of having the 10 open-ended questions. Not that you're going to rapid fire ask them, but just understand them, rehearse them, think about when they're applicable, all these kind of things, because then as the conversation evolves, you can ask those questions if they come up at the right point, and it weaves it right in and gives you the information you need to see if they are a potential prospect for you, and helps you to better then identify how you could help them.
Right. So one of the things I did when I first started my business is I used to use 3x5 cards. So this tells you how old I am, right? So I used to use 3x5 cards because when we get an appointment and get in front of a customer, we get excited, right?
Yes.
We get, oh my God, we get excited and we don't remember everything that we need to ask. So I suffered from that. So I got 3x5 cards and I used to write questions down. And in my car before the meeting, I would take these 3x5 cards out and read them. Say, I must ask these questions, right? Because for me, it was important to ask them, you know, how are they currently training their salespeople, right? You know, are they open to having an outside company come in and do training, right? What are the 3 challenges that they have with their salespeople? Right. So there were some questions that I always had to ask. And if I missed one of those questions, I would have to go back and think about, well, the customer wants me to bring them a proposal, but I don't know what to bring them the proposal because I didn't ask these 3 questions. So now I'm guessing. And you know what happens when we guess? We screw it up.
Yep.
And so I used to carry these cards in my pocket until they sank in. And then I got the information so I could go back home, think about them, and come up with the solution based on the 3 things that they said were important to them. Thomas, my people need to be better at prospecting, better at presentations, and better at handling objections. I got it. So now I go back and I come up back to them with a customized training based on those 3 objectives.
Yeah, that's a great way. And I like what you said about, I'm trying to get 3 problems out of them from the conversation, not out of them, but you're trying to answer what their top 3 problems are in the realm of where you work, because then it really helps you to draft a much stronger proposal if you can help them.
Exactly, because here's what people do. They hear one problem and they go, okay, I got it. Let me go back and put you together a proposal, right? And you come back with a $10,000 solution
Yeah.
for one problem. I don't know too many people that are going to give you $10,000 to solve one problem.
Yeah.
But if you uncover 3 problems, okay, and you come in with a $10,000 solution, that's $3,500 per
Yeah.
solution. That's more palatable, right?
Yeah.
That makes more sense. And so I always tell people, try to find the top 3 problems that they have, right? They probably have 10, but what are the top 3 that are really affecting them from making their goals, productivity, people culture? What are
Yeah.
those? And then you can come back and say, based on our conversation that we had last time, Mr. Jones, you said that these were the 3 main things that you were interested in. Or is that still the case? Yes, great. Well, listen, based on what you told me, I'll come up with a program that's going to handle those 3 problems. And then I'll walk you through how I'm going to do that, right? So you mentioned prospecting. So I'm going to work with the team on developing a prospecting cadence, blah, 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 blah. Number 2, I'm going to work with them. You mentioned that. Number 3, and then at the end, you go, is that what you're looking for? And they go, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Great. When do we get started?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is the second meeting. You've gone through the first meeting. You've had the conversation. They've expressed that they've got, these are the 3 problems they want to do. Those indeed are problems you can help them with. Now you've come to the second meeting and you are restating the problems that they told you and addressing each one of those with your proposal.
Yep. And then you ask them, does that meet what your expectations are?
Yes.
They go, yes. I said, great. So my final question is, when would you like to implement this program? Right?
Yeah.
So no matter what your audience out there does, the simple question that I ask people at the end of most meetings is, what do you think our next steps should be? And I do that after the first meeting, right? So after the first meeting, I would say to the customer, what do you think our next steps ought to be? I know what I want them to be. I want another meeting, but I'm the orchestra. I'm not driving the ship. Mm-hmm. And the customer says, well, I would like to learn more about X, Y, Z, or I would like to bring my manager in who's going to be closely involved with this. Great. Let's set up that meeting for the next time. When would be a good time for us to get back together? Then you nail the appointment right then and there, right?
Yes.
You book it while you're there. So many people would go home, get excited. Oh my God, ooh, I got another meeting, but you don't have the meeting because you didn't get a date and time for the meeting.
That's a key point. And that
is a key point.
Yes, it is. And that's why I was so excited about having you on, because these little things make a huge difference.
It's the little things, right? So many times I've worked with salespeople. When I coach and train them, they would come back to the office. Time is woo. I said, great. I got another meeting. And I would say, what's the date and time? Well, he told me to call him next week. What's the date and time? You don't have a meeting, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have a meeting. So I classify a meeting as you have a specific date and time to meet. Not, well, he said, drop by the office anytime. That's not a meeting. Mm-hmm. Right? Stop by on Thursday. That's not a meeting. A meeting is when you have a firm date and time. I'm meeting him on Tuesday at 2:00. And then I ask, the next question is, what is the agenda for that meeting? Why are we going back?
Yes.
Right? Yes. And so you have date and time and agenda. Perfect.
Yeah. But the agenda is very important too.
Very important, right? So I set up every time I have a client I work with, we work on setting the agenda. Even for the first meeting,
Yes.
the first meeting, you want to have an agenda. And the agendas that I teach people, very simple, very easy. The first meeting is I want to introduce myself. The second part of it is I want to learn about you. And the third step is what are our next steps? That's the agenda. Now, however that flows, nothing in the agenda said I'm here to sell you anything, right? Very generic agenda, okay? I send that agenda out with the meeting invite. Most people that I talk to do not send out agendas. So now the person on the other end has said, I have a meeting with Thomas, but I don't know what it's for. But you're going to say, listen, right? So when you do the first meeting, that's what you do. When you do the second meeting, right, you have an agenda.
Yes.
Date, time. The purpose of this meeting is going to be discuss the proposal or discuss the outline or the discuss.
Yeah.
So you're specific as to what you're going to do at that meeting. And also the third piece is always discuss next steps. Damon, I even teach people how to do this when they're going to close the deal, right? When a customer says, well, Thomas, I need to think about this for a couple of weeks. Everything looks really good. I go, great. 2 weeks from today is the 17th. Can we get together on the 17th, 2 o'clock? It only take 10 minutes. They go, yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm clear. The purpose of the meeting is to go, no go on the sales training? Yeah, great. So we know when I get on that call, it's yes, I'm moving forward, or no, I'm not, right? That's it. There's no more discussion about anything else because you have all the information.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? So when I get my clients to follow those 3 steps, oh my God,
It's huge.
Every call what the agenda is and what the outcomes are going to be. Every call.
Yes.
And
that's so powerful.
What happens most of the time, people say, let me think about it. Give me 2 weeks. And the person goes, okay, I'll call you in 2 weeks. What's 2 weeks? 2 weeks from, right? Ambiguous, right? Call me in 2 weeks. What does that mean? What are we doing in 2 weeks? Why am I calling? First of all, why am I calling you in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Right? And most people don't nail that down to say, okay, the reason why we're going to talk in 2 weeks is because you're going to make a decision, right? Great. Why don't we take 10 minutes on a call, put it on the agenda, go, no go on training, product, implementation, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But you know what the expectation is on that call.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, and this is why I was excited to talk to you, because what you're helping people do is add system and structure to their sales process. And a lot of people get and put in sales because, we're good with people. Okay, that's fine. But if I could be the best athlete in the world, but if I don't train and figure out how to do my sport, how good am I going to be? And that's kind of like, we think that being good with people is a good enough skill that you can learn how to do sales. And it's really not that case. And the training like you're helping people do and learning is very effective, and especially in small business when, you don't have 10,000 salespeople out there selling, hoping that we've covered the market enough that we'll get enough sales.
We'll get one sale because we have a lot of people out there doing stuff. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And the thing that I really enjoy is that when I work with my clients, and it takes them a while to get it, right? But once they understand it, now, if the deal gets stuck in between any of those points, then we can go back and address, well, where's it stuck at, right? Because it's stuck because we didn't necessarily do what we should have done. We always book another meeting from the meeting in person. We always do that. So that it won't get stuck there. And we always book the next meeting to let them know, yes, I'm moving forward, or no, I'm not, or I have a question, or I have some objections. The other thing we work with clients on is everybody has objections, right? And so it's amazing to me that I sit in front of, I just did this today with a group of salespeople. And I said, okay, what are the top 10 objections you hear 80% of the time? What are they? And how do you handle them? And I went around and asked a couple of people. Each one has a different way of handling it. I said, we have to come up with talking points that we develop for each one, because what happens is that when a customer throws you an objection, you get stumped. It's like getting hit with a right-hand cross. It stuns you because you're, oh my God, an objection, how am I going to handle that? But if you say to the customer, hey, I'm glad you asked me that question. You know, so if the company says, Thomas, your price is too high, I say, you know what, Damon, I'm glad you asked me that question. What are you referencing this from? Why you? Let's talk about why you think my price is high, right?
Yes.
Rather again, stump to go, okay, well, I'll give you a discount. No, let's understand where your reference, where is this coming from? What research have you done to tell you that this price is too high? Well, I don't have any reference price. I just think it's too high. Okay, well, let's go back and talk about what you're getting, what the value is you're getting for that price. So I always train people. I said, when you hear that the price is too high, the bell should go off and say, I didn't show them enough value.
Yep.
Right? I didn't show them enough value, because if I showed them enough value, he wouldn't ask me that question. So I have to get better at showing them value for my price.
Yeah. And this is something I'll tell you, especially if you're selling high ticket things, right?
Yes.
So if you're out there selling a high ticket thing and it's, say, software, for example, right? Some of these software packages that a bigger company will buy are crazy expensive. So if someone's going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on something, you know, there should be, and I think, and I would love your input on this. You talk about building value. There should be extra steps in your process, not because they're extra, but just to build value. Because if I'm asking somebody on a product like a software solution to spend $100,000 with me and commit to years of it with me, that value building process is so key, because you will run into price objections so hard you just won't overcome them.
Exactly. And you know that when you start the process.
Yes.
Right? So you know that from day one. So you know that I'm going to ask this company to spend $100,000. I need to show them from day one, from the first meeting. I have to show them. Now, what also I can do, once I figure out what their main problems are, and how much those problems are costing them by not being fixed, and my software can fix that, during my demonstration of the product, right? I'm going to highlight those three areas and say, see, remember you losing $300,000 here and $100,000. So I'm asking you to spend $100,000, but look what you're gaining. And they go, oh, yeah. I see that. But the key there is that if we don't understand, like I said earlier, the three main areas that they're having problems, and we can't put a price associated with that. So when we show them our product, and here's the other thing, people demoing products, right? I'm going to show you 15 features. No, they don't care about the 15 features. They care about the 3 to 5 that you identify that can help them. The other 12 are bonus. That's icing on the cake. They're not buying them. They're buying them for the 3 to 5 that you said you could save the money. The other stuff is nice.
Yes.
But what I find that most people do is that they tell them every nook and cranny that the product does, and to 5 things that you've identified in your discovery meeting, the first meeting.
Yes.
And you beat those, you talk about those every time you meet with them, right? Remember, this product is going to solve these 3 issues that you're currently losing money on. What is that worth to you, right? Ease of mind, employee morale. I mean, all these wonderful things, right? So you have to justify, but that's why I say the higher the price, the more we really have to understand what problems they have, what problems they want to fix, what problems they need to fix, and how much money is costing them by not having a solution to solve that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. And it really, you make better sales because of it. By 2 things you said there, I think 100%. We've all been in that demonstration where someone's demonstrating something to you and they tell you the 732 features that it has, and you only cared about the first handful because that's what was important to you. And that's you cause more confusion in the sale. They might see something else and go, "Oh, that's kind of a cool feature. Let's talk about that." Well, we shouldn't be, because we're losing focus on the thing that's really costing us the money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the salesperson's problem. So they, you can give somebody too much information that they can't move. They can't move.
Decision overload.
Exactly. You give them too much stuff. Oh my God. So now they really go, you know what, Thomas? I really got to think about this. And you walk out the door saying, gosh darn it, I gave him too much information. If I had stuck with the 3 main things, I could move forward. But I gave him all these things, and now they said, well, maybe we can use that. And maybe we can use that. Let me talk to HR and see. Let me talk to finance. And now the sale never happens because of you or what you did.
Yes. So, what was the most unique sales challenge you've ever had to solve?
Woo! Unique. See, all of the challenges I've had, I've all considered them kind of unique. Oh, here's unique. So I was selling software to a major wireless carrier. Okay. And talking to the product management team and my engineering team, and somehow when we got to the end of the process, we sent them the wrong agreement.
Oh my.
Right? Because we had went through legal, right? Their legal, our legal, and if you ever been involved in those red lines and everything. So I sent them the wrong version of the agreement. And so they called me and says, what is this? And I said, what are you talking about? This got this in there, this and oh my God. Then I realized that they had version 4 instead of the final version, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to explain to them, how we came up with the final version. I mean, it got a little hairy, but the lesson I learned there, and that's a lesson on me. I mean, I owned it, but contract sent me the wrong information and I didn't review it. My fault.
Yeah.
I own that, right? I own it. And it took like 2 or 3 days of having conversations with them to get them to understand that, this is how it ought to be. That was probably my most unique challenge. It was, wow. I remember that to this day. And that happened 20 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It wasn't awesome at the time, but a great story.
No, very, very, very painful, but learned a valuable lesson there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you enjoy the most about when you're coaching people and you see them, the lights turning on and things starting to happen for them?
So, Damon, that's the most rewarding thing of what I do is meeting people initially, and they got this glazed eyes over, and they're like, Thomas, I don't know if I can't do this. I don't know if I can. I'm not going to do well. All the I can't and I excuses, and then I said, listen, I'm going to help you and show you this is not that hard. You sell every day. You believe it or not, you're selling every day. You're helping people, and just keep the word help in, right? And once I get them to think about helping people, everybody wants to help people. And the light bulb goes off normally when we have a conversation, and they say, well, I tried to do this, and then I said, well, let's try this. Let's see if it works. And I get the text message 8 and 9 o'clock at night. I sent the email to so-and-so the way we talked about it, and I got another meeting, right? And I said, because they're afraid to be pleasantly persistent.
Yes.
Right? And I said, you need to have a sense of urgency every day. The customer doesn't have it. You have to have that. So you have to drive that. Don't wait for the customer to call up and say, I'm ready to do business. That's not going to happen. You have to go and earn that business, right? And so the most rewarding thing is when I get those emails or text messages that say, hey, thanks for the session because I did what we talked about and it worked. And I said, great, let's do it again.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's the good and the bad about sales is, it doesn't matter if you didn't get a sale or you got a sale, you get to go do it again.
Absolutely. Get up, dust yourself off. And I tell people, I said, listen, it's kind of a game that you want to play because in sales, you get more no's than you get yeses, right? And I equate that to baseball, right? So if you're a 300 hitter, you're going to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
But that's saying that you only hit the ball 3 out of 10 times. So you missed the ball. You mishit 7 out of 7 times. So 70% of the time you fail.
Yes.
But yet you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Right? And I say sales is the same. You're going to fail a whole lot more than you succeed. But guess what? When you succeed, it wipes away all of the no's. Right?
That's the way it works. That's for
wipes
sure.
It all the way. And I tell people for every 10 or 20 no's that you get, just know there's a yes coming. It's coming. Don't give up. The yes is coming, because we have to pursue it. We're going to get no. No is great. No means I'm getting to a yes. Psychologically, we got to think that way. Otherwise, we would not be in sales.
Yes. Yes. And I've heard of people even talking about the fact that even when you understand over time, my average out of 100, whatever prospect calls or whatever, if I end up over time, I get 2% of those and that 2% earns me X amount of dollars. That each call I can figure out, even if it's a no, I can think that it's going to make money because I know that percentage I will eventually be closing. So even if it was a no, I know it was a $10, $50, whatever call,
right.
just because I'm doing the right outreach.
Yep. And what there's a card that I have that I found years ago, and it was a study done for all sales in all industries, and the average closing rate, the average was somewhere between 28 to 33%. So when I'm talking to people, I'm saying you're going to be probably 30% closer, 30%, right? That's just the number. You may be 31, you may be 29, but let's use 30%. So that means 30% of the people that's in your pipeline right now, you're going to close. So if you have 10 people in your pipeline, shame on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have 3 sales, right? I mean, if you have 20, you're going to have 6. So the object of that conversation is activity is king, because so many small business people that I talk to, I'm only talking to 4 or 5 companies. I say, you're not going to have any sales.
Yes.
You need to be talking to 20 people.
Yes.
Right? You need to have a list of 20 people that you're engaged with at some part of the sales process.
Mm-hmm.
20 is a healthy number, depending on the product and service that you have. But 5 definitely doesn't cut it. And so I talk to them as activity. How many calls are you making? How many meetings do you have per week? Okay. And when I ran a sales organization at one point in time, I knew for every rep how many calls they had to make to get an appointment. And each sales rep was different. Some was 8 calls, 1 point, some were 12, some were 20. Right? And we knew the average sale. So I would be able to go and say, Johnny, I need you to sell me 5 more units this month. Let's calculate what you got to do to get those 5 more units. Well, I need to this, right? So we re-engineer it.
Yes.
Okay. So the longer I work with small businesses, we get a handle on that first of all, what their sales cycle is from start to finish, right? And so once we get to know, okay, my average sales cycle is 3 months. So I know I need to be putting stuff in my funnel, because in 3 months, all this is going to be dead, right? And what's the average sale price? So I know the average sale price. And then you say, well, what's your yearly goal? And we can take that from the ridiculous to say, I need to have this many sales per month at the average revenue price to get that number. Forget about the big number. We're working with the small number monthly. And those clients that I work with over a period of time, I can help them get those numbers to make sense to them. So now they know, oh, wow, I need to have 3 appointments this week. I only have 1, and it's Thursday. Shit, I need to get 2 more appointments, right?
Yeah, I got to get
because
on the phone and get an appointment.
Exactly, because otherwise in 3 months, I have no sale.
Yes. And that's the timing, the cadence, the everything that salespeople really need to get into. And the best salespeople are doing that. They're doing, as you said, it's Tuesday. I've got 2. I need 5. I'm on track, or I'm not on track. So that means I step up my game tomorrow, make a little bit more, make a few more calls, or make a few more outreaches, and then measure again at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's a daily, weekly. And I grew up in an environment that we had daily calling numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Daily call, because in the wireless industry back in the heyday, it was selling units every day, right? So, and we had it down to, you had to sell 2.5 units every day to make your quota of 50.
Yeah.
20 working days, right? So at the end of the week, if you didn't have 10 or 12 units sold, oh boy, you're not trending. right?
That's awesome. That's awesome because that gave you some invaluable, very valuable, highly valuable experience because you understand how it works.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Thomas, it's been incredible listening to you, getting to talk to you about the practical small business sales training and the way that you're helping small business people and their sales teams, develop better processes and become better at sales so they can enjoy a more consistent business. And
Absolutely.
because that's in the end, that's what good sales do. They give you a more profitable and a more consistent business. So thanks for being here today. And if someone wants to get a hold of you, Thomas, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So the best ways are my email address is tellis@ewcconsultants.com. You can call me because I pick up my phone,
There you
right?
go.
301-343-0001 is another way. And a third way is to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You'll see me
Very good.
all over LinkedIn. I'm an avid user of LinkedIn. So reach out. And if for anybody that's on this call, I'm going to give you a special offer. And if you must reach out with to say, I was on the Exit Your Way podcast, and I will give you a 30-minute free sales strategy session. I'll say
Oh,
that
nice.
again. A 30-minute free sales strategy session if you mention that you was on the Exit Your Way podcast.
Nice. Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate you extending that offer to the listeners today. Again, we had Thomas Ellis with us here today, and he is from EWC Consultants. You can find him on LinkedIn. It's Thomas, ThomasEllis. Want to make sure everybody knows how that is spelled so they can find him on LinkedIn. Go ahead.
My book. I forgot to mention people about my book.
Yes, let's talk about that just for a moment.
So I have a book, is 2 years old. It's called
Nice.
BUD, Better, Unique, and Desirable, the sales process that gets results. It's on Amazon. It's a book that most people that buy it really love it. I give you practical sales tips on how to grow your sales. So please
Nice.
invest in that. It'll be a great holiday present to yourself.
Yes. And we'll have you come back, Thomas. We'll talk about the bud sales process and your book too. We didn't have time to get to it today because we were talking about the practical basics. We can work into the bud system, I think, next time and have a lot of fun with that.
Absolutely.
Yes. So everyone, thank you for being here today. I want to say thanks, Mohammed, for showing up and dropping a comment in here. And yes, Thomas did drop a lot of great sales advice. And I'm going to butcher your name, but I'm going to try to say it. Ibtahaj. Thanks for stopping by because he was listening about value is everything. And really, when we were talking about building value with the customers, and yes, I believe Thomas did explain it very, very well. So I want to just thank everyone for being here today. Whether you put a comment or not, we appreciate this. If you came in late too, go back to the beginning. You can replay this thing from the beginning on LinkedIn and anywhere else you heard it. Listen to Thomas, listen to the things that he's talking about, this practical sales training for small businesses. It's really good practical advice. And if you want to, reach out to Thomas and he can help you further. Thomas, hang out. We'll finish up offline.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Well, I'm trying here. I'm having a little trouble with my computer. There we go.